The nurse ran out of my daughter's room and said, "What did you give her this morning?" I didn't give her anything. Someone at school did. My phone rang at 10:47 a.m. on a Wednesday. The school nurse said Hazel collapsed during second period, and they'd called an ambulance. I was in my car before she finished talking. Hazel was 11, healthy. No conditions, no allergies, no medications. She'd eaten breakfast at home, oatmeal with blueberries. Same thing every morning. The nurse called back and said Hazel was seizing. I ran every red light between my office and the hospital. A nurse grabbed my arm outside the room. "What did you give her this morning?" I said. "Nothing. What's happening to her?" She said. "Her blood work is showing a substance that shouldn't be in an 11-year-old system. Something entered her between 8 and 10 a.m. My daughter was behind a curtain seizing, and I didn't know what was inside her. The doctor came out 14 minutes later. Hazel was stabilized, but barely. Her blood contained traces of a benzodiazepine. I said, "What is that?" He said, "A sedative, enough to put an adult to sleep. In a child her size, it caused respiratory depression and seizures. Someone drugged my 11-year-old daughter at school." I called my husband, Ren. He said 4 words. "I'm on my way." Then I called the police. They went to the school. Hazel's teacher, Ms. Langford, said Hazel was fine during first period, but seemed drowsy by second. She'd put her head on her desk, then slid out of her chair and started convulsing. They interviewed classmates. A girl named Tatum said she saw Hazel drink from a water bottle that wasn't hers between periods. A boy named Colt Haney had handed it to her and said, "Try this. It's flavored water. My mom makes it." The officers found the bottle in the classroom recycling bin and sent it to the lab. They called Colt's mother, Denise. She said she didn't know anything about flavored water. They asked about prescription medications. She went quiet. She had a prescription for lorazepam. They asked her to check if any pills were missing. She called back 20 minutes later. 6 pills are gone. Nobody has access except me and my husband. They asked if Colt could have accessed the cabinet. She said no. Then maybe. Then she said she didn't lock it. Ren arrived at the hospital. Hazel was sleeping. Not seizing anymore, but sleeping the heavy medicated sleep of a child processing a drug designed for anxious adults. Ren held her hand and didn't say a word for 2 hours. The lab confirmed lorazepam in the water bottle. Dissolved. Not accidentally dropped in. Ground into powder and mixed until the water looked clear. Colt was interviewed with his parents. He said a 7th grader named Boyd Pratt gave him the bottle already prepared and told him to give it to Hazel and say it was flavored water. Boyd told him it was a prank and would just make her fall asleep in class. Colt said if he didn't do it, Boyd would beat him up. The officers interviewed Boyd. He was 13. Hazel had told the school counselor that Boyd was bullying a younger student. The counselor reported it. Boyd got detention. Boyd decided Hazel needed to be punished for telling. He stole his older sister's lorazepam, ground it into powder, mixed it into water, gave it to a terrified 6th grader to deliver so his own hands stayed clean. He was 13 and he'd built a drug delivery system using a child as his courier. Boyd was charged with aggravated assault. His lawyer argued Boyd was too young to understand the consequences. The judge asked Boyd one question. "Did you know the pills would make her sick?" Boyd said, "I wanted her to stop talking." The judge said, "That's my answer." Boyd was sentenced to 18 months in juvenile detention. Hazel woke up at 4 a.m. She looked at me and Ren and said, "The water tasted weird, but Colt said it was supposed to." She still tells the counselor when she sees someone getting bullied.